I was born in a beautiful city called Calcutta in India, and I remember my early childhood was largely spent with an uncle who I would probably visit over on weekends. And his house was very beautiful, unlike my house, where we are a pretty small, lower middle class family in India, and we never had any art or anything of that sort. Whereas his house was kind of a condo, and he would have nice art pieces on his home, lovely wallpaper, beautiful sculptures. And in the evening, there happened to be some galleries and museums next to his place. And he would just walk me around for the evening. So as a child, I have seen lots of museums, galleries, artworks, not really knowing what they meant to be, but for me it was beautiful, colorful imagery that I consumed. And I would get a few trigger words from him. And when my journey happened over the years in life, do your college, do your engineering, do your computers and all that, but then I look back at life today, all these early childhood influences is what I'm doing today. And that's how life is wonderful, and it goes like a complete circle, and you're not aware how that circle really happens.
Welcome, Harish, and this is Harish Kumar on Yana TV, where we're having our authentic conversations with impactful and conscious people of Asia. So you were born in India, and then you in Kolkata, and then you traveled all over the country, right?
Yes.
So tell me a bit more about that experience.
The traveling and the conscious part of soaking in the culture was not a conscious decision, or as a child, your dad is moving from one city to the other.
Why he was doing that?
My dad used to work in an insurance company.
Okay.
So we moved in different cultures as part of our growing up. So we learned different languages, not as a conscious decision. Again, it was like a necessity, because if you have to live and thrive in the city and you want to play with your friends and all that, you speak the language. And as a kid, you probably don't think too much. You just pick it up as the way the things happen. So I lived in Calcutta, then I lived in Orissa in Bhubaneswar, then I moved down south in a city like Coimbatore, and then I did my college there, moved to a city like Bangalore, from there to Mumbai, and then I came down to a city like Chennai. And now, right now, I'm in Singapore.
So this journey
Has been very interesting. Don't think too much. Life is like water, or it just flows. So learn to adapt and flow accordingly. And it's great when you flow with that whole energy, and you take the energy of water and wind like energy, and they all flow. So if you learn to flow, it's beautiful. And as an artist, as a creative person, the best thing is to like flow. It's like how water, when the water is flowing, it picks up the sand, the gravel and the stones and everything, and it flows. So are we, you're consuming a lot of content, experiences, people, culture, and all of that is just going into your brain. And when you're out there, what is coming out is also probably a reflection of what you've consumed and what you've taken, consciously, subconsciously, whatever format it is. And that's what comes out. And that's how life has been for me, right from education. I've had all sorts of, did my engineering, then I did my master's in mass communication. Then I went on to work in Bollywood in Bombay. I worked in an advertising agency, television.
you have like all kinds of careers.
Yes. People used to question me a lot by saying, why don't you pick one stuff for yourself? And for me, it never occurred that I had to really pick one stuff. I would get excited with something and I would go all out into it. And that got stuck with me as a practice. So be it animation to films to television, what I saw was the commonality in all of this. The commonality is a creative process. You need to tell stories. How do you collect and tell the story together? And that is a skill that I thought I picked it up. And I remember a professor of mine told me this, and that stuck to me very strongly. Like when the new technology and the new cameras used to come, we always used to kind of get obsessed with saying, learning the new tech because you had to thrive there. But he said, Harish, and I would say this for anybody on camera, it's not what you make with the lens, it's what you see through the lens that matters. So it's like craft an eye for seeing through the lens. And once you learn that craft, the tech would not really matter because the tech is something that you take to enhance the storytelling.
So beautiful, I love that. And our conversation today is a lot about finding the purpose and this it in life. So okay, today you are that person X that we will say what it is exactly, but how did you get here? So all those so with this upbringing and all those diverse careers, I mean, probably there was a lot of pressure also from the parents or just society that you somehow cannot make up your mind, that you're changing too much, that it's a bit too fluid for them, right? There's not enough stability in your life. So how did you deal with that? And where did you find then that inner courage and sort of resilience and compass to keep going with what you believe is true for you?
What used to happen, I can tell you very precisely as key moments. First is school. At school level, I had topped, so they said, you need to take science and do medicals. And at the final year of school, I realized I wasn't cut out for medicine. My calling was something else, because they put me into science and medicine because I used to draw well. But I didn't want to draw cockroaches and frogs, but what I really wanted was to draw something else. Then I moved into engineering. And in engineering, I was excited about computer graphics and stuff like that. And in the engineering college, I come to know that you're actually not doing the graphics, but you're writing 400, 500 lines of C, C++ program to draw a straight line. I was doing my final year of college. I got to know about animation and graphics, and I realized my final year project had to be something with that. Virtual reality was a word I found out very interesting. There were no mentors, there were no guides. Luckily, the center where I was doing my multimedia training, that they said, we will help you out how to go about doing this. So I did my project. My HODs and the professors, they were like, I don't think you can pull off something like this. I garnered a couple of my friends to be my batchmates who were crazy enough to join me on my journey. And that journey turned out fantastic because we turned out and made the best project of the university. And I did that, but then my calling was different. I got to know about mass communication, animation, design. So I moved to a different city. I moved to Bombay. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have food to put on my plate. I used to live out of an office. It was an office during the day, and I would go and sleep during the night because that was the arrangement that I had till I could find a place to survive. But then one led to the other, did television, movies,
Bollywood,
big movies, and then the kind of commercials that I got to work. I worked with some of the biggest stars like Amitabh Bachchan, Sachin Tendulkar, Aishwarya Rai. All these names as kids have just looked, and I see them in person, and that was a big learning there.
So what was the learning? So I'm curious now.
The learning, yes, working with them. My guru, or the ad guru under whom I was kind of interning and learning, he taught me one thing. Everything is work, right from sweeping a floor to getting the costume done for the biggest artist. Everybody has a role and everybody is equal and important. Maybe the guy who's bringing the tea is paid $1 or $2, whereas the supermodel is making several $1,000s for the same amount, but everybody's equal and everybody's important. The pay scales are different based on the value that they bring in. And this got fed to me right in the beginning of my career. And so I never got enamored by big artists because they said, we're all professionals. We come, we fight, we pull each other up for those few hours. And the evening we hug each other and go back home. Great enough to charge for it. And that's been my mantra even till date. And then when I moved over to do other things in my career, be it television, be it radio.
Tell me a story from the television or radio, or something that happened that stayed with you and why.
Oh, okay. I'll probably quickly narrate two incidents. Okay. I moved from there to Chennai to start a business. It didn't work. And I didn't know what to do because I had flushed out all the capital that I had, and I was literally living out of a friend's place. I would go to freelance in different agencies, pick up some pocket money, used to do voiceovers and dubs in studios to make a living. And during one of those dub sessions, I met a director, and he was looking for an associate to work with him, and he was doing a couple of animation films and documentaries. So through him, we did two amazing, a 2D film and a 3D film, doing motion capture, all sorts of tech. And what I learned with him is, he said, Harish, I'm doing some 26 documentaries in India. So with him, I traveled the length and breadth of the country. And he broke this whole mold of saying, you need 100 people to shoot. And he would say, we're just like National Geography, just go 2-3 of us, we shoot documentary. You pick up the gear, I'm here, we go out, we shoot. And he was a national award filmmaker. So he just reoriented my brain in terms of saying, you can do things.
With how much you can do with little resources.
Yes. Yeah. And at that point of time, you were so dependent on studios and production and all that, and you didn't know how to operate. And he said, hey, you know the technology, you can do this. Let's shoot this. We'll go back, we'll cut, we'll capture. And he just changed the way one needs to think. So frugality, being adaptable and get your hands dirty, do things is what I learned from him.
What moves you forward in life towards your purpose, which we are coming to right here.
Yes.
Okay, so story from the television or radio.
So back in the radio business, I was with Reliance. I was part of the new initiatives division. So we were doing video on demand, we were launching movies and things like that. And suddenly the brothers fought and they split the company. And we had to choose and move into one. I had just settled down in Chennai from Bombay, and they said, what do you do? They said, why don't you go set up a radio business? We've picked up the licenses. You're the first guy, since you're already in the company, but now you move officially into the new company as a fresh hire. So I happened to be like the first hire in that. And they said, go set up the radio business. Like from just doing creative, I was like scouting offices to hiring talent, grooming the talent, and then there was competition. And we had some amazing radio talent from UK, US, who were flown down to train these raw talent into amazing star radio professionals.
Wow.
And some of the finds that we had are like big Bollywood stars today. For me, the learning was roll up your sleeves when the opportunity.
The same thing. Roll up your sleeves, do the work, and the opportunities come up, right? It's all the same.
And in that whole process, we signed up the brand ambassador called Asan, who's like another major Kollywood, Bollywood star. I had not done radio before. I took it like play. It was fun. We did some of the most crazy and amazing stuff in the country. So that's what experience can bring back to you when you're ready to do something like that.
Wow. Doing all of this, so you were processing, you were learning, you were experimenting, and that eventually led you into what you are doing today. So please tell me, what is it you are doing today?
Oh, yes. From the experience that I had from doing all of this, led me to set up my first business, which was a production house. So we used to make branded content, films, started producing content for television and radio stations. And that was over a decade of doing things for various corporates and almost all sorts of clients across the country. I was growing to a stage in business where team was there, team was taking up and was doing the business. And my whole kid in me was saying, hey, you did all this to be creative and wanting to do.
It was successful, effective, but boring fundamentally for you.
Yes,
for you.
It was getting boring because I wasn't doing the creative part. If you're running a business, you learn that you just can't be doing because if
you have to do everything else around the business.
Yes, the team is there. There are editors, there are cameramen, there are content people. They are doing all. So I used to envy my team because like, hey, they got the fun part. In fact, I would fly with them to some shoots because I said I want to be there just to be
part of the experience.
Part of the experience.
Yes.
But then soon I realized if I had to do something more creative, it had to be something that I can do on my own without a brief and stuff like that. So what happened from there was an expression to just forget and express something. So I started doing painting. So I would just for hours lie down and paint huge canvases, like almost like a trance. And like my family thought I was crazy because I was leaving the other work and I would be locked up for a couple of days just doing paintings. And I felt this was like amazing, soul stirring. I didn't know what was the purpose. I would just paint, put it up in the office. So people in my office also thought like, okay, boss is painting, so we don't question. And one fine day, an architect happened to be there. Some clients happened to come down to the office. They saw the stuff in the conference room and they said like, hey, where do you pick up these kind of art and all these things? I said, no, these are made by me and some from my team. And they said, hey, we would like to buy some of these paintings. So how much? I had no clue what they cost. Like, said, how much do you think you're gonna? And he said, okay, I'll pick up 3-4 of these pieces. I'll pay you a few lakhs for this. The light bulb moment happened then. They said, oh, there is a commercial value to what I've done now. And one of the clients we were shooting, and he said, the office looks so boring. Why can't we make it more colorful? I said, what do you mean? And I said, can I take a few pictures and make a mock-up of this? I went and made a mock-up. The client loved it. They said, just design the office like this. No clue, no idea how to design, how to do interiors, how to do architecture. But then I said, this is damn exciting. I want to do this.
This is it. I want to do it.
Yes, yes. And from one led to the other, and we could combine audiovisual technology, we could get screens, all sorts of things of all our storytelling. And the skill of storytelling for all these years, we put into the
So
art
finally you
and design.
realize exactly all of those which pieces and dots, they are actually crafting a pathway.
While I was doing these kinds of projects, I got a museum project to work on. So when I worked on the museum project, the museum had everything to be done. Storytelling, sketching, working with the architect, because that was right from scratch. And then designing, making molds, making sculptures. Then there was audiovisual technology, there was sound, there was projections. And that's when I reflected, said, all these years what I've done is a skill set that the typical architect is not being able to pull off, the interior guy is not able to pull off, the brand guys are not able to, because you needed an experience which kind of combined all of this. And that's when I said like, okay, I have found a purpose. Like, I think designing spaces like experience centers, museums, and all of this needed a collective skill. It needed a lot of collaboration, which a lot of people in the industry weren't doing. But I said, I am willing to collaborate. I'm pretty open to work with the architect, the designer, the artist, the tech guy, all of them combined, and I can give this to the client. And I found that little niche spot, and I said, this is my mantra for life.
I like how you put it all in one word. So tell me this. So what is the word?
One word is being playful. And
playful, but I like playful. There is a catch to this,
yes.
right?
Why I use the word fool there is like, when you look at a kid, the kid is not scared of making a fool of himself. It will go out, it will drop something, say the weirdest of stuff, but then the kid is constantly learning something from that experience without a very conscious of it. It's just learning, doing the next thing, learning, doing the next thing. It's all play. And I tell this to all leading corporates when they hit a glass ceiling or there is a plateau in their business, it's quite often they've forgotten to play.
So you're bringing more play and the importance of that. And I just love it how you're this example of someone who have been really teaching it and living it, because you are in the embodiment of playfulness in whatever way we look at this word. You have been teaching, speaking here, and it was a great activity with the movie making and really how you can now embrace and incorporate your skills from the film industry and your art. And actually people love it because it is playful with F-U, right, L-L. It's creative, it's childlike, it makes us feel alive again, it fosters collaboration. So I love that. So just a few fire rapid questions today.
Oh, yes.
I love your shirt. I keep looking at it. So when I'm looking at it, what I see are actually skeleton and ghosts for some reason. So what do you see when you look at your shirt?
What inspired me for the shirt was like, it's the playful ghost. We're all caught up by a lot of ghosts from our past and things like that, and we're not letting it fly. So I'm saying let those ghosts fly and be playful and enjoy life and go with the flow is what I would say.
Okay. The next question. So what is the most foolish thing you have ever done?
I remember I was in the thick of my career. I was like heading a radio station and like one of the biggest conglomerate, and I'm moving into the next phase of growth in the regional. I suddenly get some offer from another country like Sri Lanka, and they say like, why don't you come here, set up? I haven't really figured out something there, but I just get excited and I don't have a backup plan. I just quit my job and I'm like, they're like, Harish, are you crazy? Like, and I've gone through the whole curve of setting up the business. The radio station is all operational. It's like the best phase to enjoy, get my salaries. I quit. My organization didn't understand why I had, because I didn't have any personal problem with anyone. But then it was, and the hindsight, if I look, it was really crazy and foolish because I didn't have my finances planned. I didn't have my next phase.
You were brave. Okay, so quit the job, very high paying, very established job to do something which you felt your heart is leading to. Okay, one more question, maybe the final question for today. What is your biggest dream to create in this life still?
I actually asked people, I call it the end game. And
I like that, the end games.
The end game is largely, I said, try and imagine the moment that you want to die. And I say most of us don't think of that moment because most of us think it's going to be something painful, or bitter, or ugly. I said, no, I want all of us to imagine that moment and then work backwards in life. Like to me, I would say my ultimate moment would be like if I'm just painting, I'm lying on a piece of paint all over, and then my soul passes away at that moment. I said that should be the kind of life and the moment where you're just not doing anything. You're just living the moment, living the purpose, and living the art, and spread this message across to more and more people to be happy, be creative, and enjoy life.
Thank you, Harish. It was Harish on Yana TV. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to see you here next week with another guest. I don't mind the birds, actually. My editor minds the birds. The editor is annoyed. He always tells us no birds.